Welcome back, everyone. We are back. You are maybe seeing an unfamiliar face on your screen right now. Will Nessa has joined. Spencer Heim is busier than anyone I have ever met. So now we are finally back. We thought we would be doing episodes weekly, then maybe we thought bi-weekly, then monthly, and now we're halfway through the season and we are finally back. So I'm going to actually grab my wine, pour myself a little glass. Nessa's already got me beat here, so I don't know if you can see. So we're going to do a nice stiff pour to get the conversation flowing. And then we're going to cheers in honor of Maidenless. Here's halfway through the season. Maybe Spencer will be able to join us in 2026. So, Logan, this is how you chug something. I'm not going to chug it, but, I mean, it takes 5 seconds to drink something. But I'm going to take a sip here. Hold on. But without further ado, I want to turn it over to Will. I know I've known Will for quite some time. So for maybe viewers that aren't super familiar with you, Will, how did you maybe get into Maidenless? How long have you been playing fantasy? I always like asking people this question, but then the floor is yours. I know you're a Trey Lance lover, so I'm sure we'll get into that. But let's start with your little fantasy background and where'd all this knowledge come from?
No, absolutely. Appreciate the warm welcome here.
Of course.
And it's great to address the Maidenless crew finally. You know, I've talked a lot of stuff in the past few years, and I've kept receipts, to be quite honest. So, I've been waiting for this day for a long time. But a little background about me. I'm surprisingly enough to all you guys. I honestly, dating back in high school, I was not a huge football guy. I watched the Vikings. I couldn't name a lot of defensive guys. I knew the top three or four players in the Vikings. That all changed probably around my junior year of high school. I really started dialing in. I got to a point in my life where I was like, I got to start knowing ball to boys do stuff like this. Fast forward a few years from then was the first year I played fantasy. It was my sophomore year of college. So
that was your first year?
Yep, first year in football. So relatively speaking, I'm kind of a newbie.
Absolutely.
All odds are against me, but I'm used to that, as you guys probably know. But yeah, I mean, it is still kind of a learning transition for me because I've only been doing this for about 6 or 7 years now.
Yeah.
I know veterans like Youngs or Spencer. Those guys have been at it for a long time. They're veterans.
Yeah. So how long have you been doing Dynasty then, as opposed to, because obviously like I didn't know Dynasty was a thing for the longest time. It was like you do ESPN with like a couple of your high school buddies, but now because I think, correct me if I'm wrong, our one QB league, was that your first time doing Dynasty as well?
That was my first Dynasty league. Yep, absolutely. Okay. And Spencer actually is the one that kind of got me thinking about Dynasty.
Yeah.
That league all started, I pulled in a whole bunch of my high school buddies. Spencer had I think one or two of his buddies, and then we started a Dynasty league. That was my first experience.
Sure. And then how did you? I mean, did you ever talk to Spencer about starting? Because I know in our one QB league we kept talking and joking about, is it time to do super flex? But then just with the way rosters work, it never happens that way. So did you? Because I think Spencer just put it in our chat, and then. Yeah, I don't know if I was going to join, and then I saw you join. I was like, if Nessa's in it, I got to do it.
I was originally against the 2 QB. I've never played a league where they had 2 QBs, super flex. So it was just new to me. I don't like change like that. But Spencer joined. He hit me up. He's like, hey, join this league. It might just be for fun. I just want to try 2 QBs. I've heard it was a good time. So I joined it, and it turned into Maidenless, which is now definitely my most heavily invested league that I'm in. I think I'm in 4 or 5 leagues right now. Mm-hmm. And those are all put in the back burner to focus on Maidenless. You wouldn't guess it by my record right now, but I do invest a lot of time into, just looking at people's teams, offering up trades, getting it done. It's kind of my name of the game right there.
Yeah, because remind me, what pick did you have in our startup draft? Did you have one? I'm going to pull up the draft board here. Did you have 107? 10?
In the initial draft you're talking?
Yeah, in our very first startup.
I think I had 3, I want to say, because I got J Jets.
You took J Jets at... No, because I think... Here, let me see. Okay, I got it. You were 105.
105.
And you took Jefferson.
Yep.
Did you... I mean, it being...
Still, in my opinion.
Okay, so you're pretty happy with that. You weren't ever going...
J Jets is by far the trademark of my team. He is the second best player. For sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking at the board here. Let's see. I'm going to actually pop the screen up. We've looked at this a few times. Let's see. Got 9 million
I
tabs.
can't even really remember my team from
Well,
way
don't worry,
back.
buddy. I got you. You able to see this here?
Yep, I am.
All right, so here we go. Boy. Wow.
Ugh.
Wow.
Oof.
Austin Eckler. All right, we got a lot to digest here. So, I mean, obviously, first thing you see, Justin Jefferson, 105. I mean,
Easy.
looking at the board, you weren't thinking of QB at all, were you?
Nope. Well, I'd never done a 2 QB league, so I really didn't know how important it was. And if
Okay.
you notice, I actually really only had 1 QB because Trey Lance was not even expected to start at this point.
Yeah.
This was the year that he was sitting behind Garoppolo.
Yeah. Derek Carr, Trey Lance is and literally no other quarterback is a very, very interesting way to build out your super flex team.
Like I said, the odds are against me, and I sometimes I prosper, sometimes it takes some time to cook a little bit. But yeah,
Okay.
It was an interesting the 2 wide receivers initially. That was my game plan. Unfortunately, I lost one of them. Something we can probably address later in the podcast.
Yeah.
But other than that, Mixon, that's another key factor to this team.
Yep.
I traded him away. He left my team ever since I traded him away.
Beast.
We hit a wall. We were going downhill hard. But I recently acquired him back, which I'm super proud of, and he's been cooking.
Great trade too.
But yeah, that was one of my probably top trades in the league. Again, I'm sure we'll digest all that later. But let's see who else here. Dotson, that was a guy I was super high on.
Yeah, I remember all the hype he had too. But
he had a lot of hype. He had a decent rookie year too. But unfortunately, he's just not in a good position right now.
Yeah. How many of these dudes do you even have on your team anymore? A lot of these guys look like waiver rats.
I got Lockett on my team. He's still producing. He's an old guy. He's still got some gas left in the tank.
Producing.
He's here and there. He's a good flex.
Producing bench numbers.
When you have a roster like my current roster, he's a go-to guy. Derek Carr, he just left my team. Really, the only keepers I have on my team right now are Eckler, Jefferson,
Lockett,
and surprisingly Elijah Mitchell too, which is
really very strange.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. He's been on injured reserve. He's been everywhere except for one.
I know we have to get to it right away. I know your name is Trey Lance Lover. You took Trey Lance in the startup 104. You mentioned you want to just kind of clear the air with where this fandom came from. So I'm going to probably give you maybe 25, 35 minutes of just like, where did this come from? Give us some background. Like, I know NDSU guy, so obviously there's a little bit of bias there, but what do you see in Trey Lance that others don't?
I'll give you the full story date and all the way back.
Please.
Okay. So as you guys know, and actually first I should address like I know some people have called me a bandwagon for KU. I did attend KU, but I paid tuition. I ended up transferring to NDSU, to be closer to my now fiance, and the schooling was better.
Flex.
A lot of stuff. It was a long-term investment. It paid off.
Yeah.
But my junior year, I moved into an apartment. 4 doors down from my apartment was Trey Lance's apartment. He was on that.
Really?
Team. Yep, exactly.
I actually didn't know that.
A lot of people don't. I don't like to brag about the people I know. Whatever. But yeah, basically, me and Trey were besties. We're good friends.
Would you give him a couple sup nods every now and then?
I did. There was a few elevator rides actually.
Really?
He'd always be going down to the gym. I'd be going up to the bar or something. As I'd say, hey, killer season, man, keep it up.
Yeah. It's like, who the fuck are you?
Yeah, and I was like, I live 4 doors down. You gonna stop by anytime, whatever. He never did, but yeah, that's kind of where I started thinking, hey, this guy can be something. But where I really grew a fan of him is watching him in college.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if people know just how dominant this guy was as a college QB, and I know he's playing in the FCS, whatever. Okay, the talent might be down a notch. With the stats he put up, it doesn't matter. He could have been a talented QB just about anywhere in the country.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, I got the stats right in front of me, surprisingly. So I'll just read them off to you.
Okay, please, yeah.
Here's his college stat line from the 1 year he started full time in college. He went 192 for 287 passes. Decent, whatever.
Yeah.
He passed for 2,786 yards. It's quite a few yards, It's pretty good. He threw for 28 touchdowns. That's a lot of touchdowns.
That's point plays.
And then he also threw for no interceptions the whole year.
Really? No interceptions?
0 interceptions. And actually, that's the NCAA record for the most passing attempts with 0 interceptions. NCAA across the whole board. Trey Lance holds that record. I was at school with him when he set that record. But it gets better. It doesn't stop there.
No, it can't possibly get better, can it?
I mean, how could that stat line get any better? NCAA records, no interceptions, 28 touchdowns, almost 3,000 passing yards. How could it get any better? It does. Because guess what? That same season, he rushed for 1,100 yards. That's running back numbers, right? He led the whole FCS in rushing that year, or he was top 3. You could fact check me. He might be top 3.
Yeah.
In that time, he also rushed for 14 touchdowns.
That's actually insane.
So I don't know. I mean, the year that I was there, living almost next door to him putting up these numbers was just mind blowing to me. And I was like, this guy, he could be, the next great NDSU QB. Carson Wentz this one. That same year, he also was the first FCS member to be on Heisman Watch. This guy coming out of the FCS. Everyone's, shitty FCS, whatever. Yeah. He's on Heisman Watch, baby. That's what I'm talking about. And that's Trey Lance for you. He was a 3-star athlete coming out of Minnesota, and he beat the odds.
Yeah.
And that's what TreyLance69 and co strives to beat the odds, baby.
So I think that is good background. But surely, I mean, touted prospect coming out of college, dominant. How long did he play there? Was he there for 1 year, 2 years?
He was there for 2 years, okay. One being the COVID year, which was kind of goofy for the FCS, I believe. I think they missed a few games. They were supposed to play Oregon and a few other higher ranked teams. It never happened. It was unfortunate, but yeah, I'm sure you're going to ask how that translated into the.
You read my mind. Yeah. I mean, I think we got to touch on the monsoon game, right?
We have to, and right. I definitely will. Surprisingly enough, I also have some NFL stats for him.
That's very convenient, actually.
And I'll warn you, it's not a big sample size because guess what? He got given up on in the first year, whatever. Right. And that's a different thing. Shanahan, he's got his head up his ass, whatever. I'm not going to get into it, but I'll just read you off I pulled stats from the games that he started 50% or more snaps in.
Okay.
Only 4 games since being drafted 3rd overall. And to make it simple for you guys, I just combined, the fantasy points that he had.
Yep.
At the end of the day, he's my fantasy QB.
That's all we care about.
I'm going to read off how many points he got in each one of these games. And in a few of these games, he played, 51% of snaps. Whatever. Yeah. So his first game, 20 points. Decent first game as a rookie, 21-year-old. I think he was at this time. He might have been 20, though, honestly. The next game, 15 points. Decent for a rookie. 19 points the next one. Decent for a rookie. And then 10 points the next one. And that being the infamous monsoon game that he played in a hurricane. People were sliding down the field. You can look up videos of it. But 10 points in that game, I'll give it to him as a rookie. So from a rookie debut standpoint, playing in games where he has control of the field for more than 50% of the snaps, his stats aren't that bad. They're better than a handful of the rookie QBs this year, I'd say. So that's what I got to say for that. And then also with those 4 games, the 4 games I just mentioned, he racked up 215 rushing yards, which it's just straight. He could be a running back, wide receiver, quarterback, defensive, whatever you want him to be. So yeah, that's kind of the stats I pulled. And in small sample size, I don't think that's too bad to write him off.
Yeah.
I just don't. What are your thoughts on that, Youngs?
I mean, I have never watched Trey Lance. I did not live 4 doors down from Trey Lance. But I mean, when you get a guy that has raw, just like athleticism and talent, it's just crazy. Like we have Daniel Jones and like QBs that have been given a chance for like 6 years that we know are pretty dog shit.
Yep.
Trey Lance, I'm looking at it right now. He's still only 24 years old. What's Bo Nix, like 25? He played 9 years in college.
I just drafted Bo Nix, and he's not the youngest QB on my team.
Yeah. So I mean, and Trey Lance has been in the league since 2021 too. So I mean, it's pretty. I mean, you listen to other podcasts, you hear like arguments like some of us NPCs could be like general managers. If you watch like Hard Knocks, that offseason show with like the Giants, where they're like, yeah, we're gonna let Saquon walk. It's like, okay, like I don't know how. The one thing I would ask you is like, what do you think you're seeing that NFL GMs aren't, where they're not willing to take a chance on him to like have him start? Because like you look at a situation right now, he got traded to Dallas for like a 4th-round pick. He's back up. He has all this talent, but he still can't beat out Cooper Rush. What do you kind of say to those that are like, this dude's dog, if he's like a 3rd-string QB, their starter goes down, and he's still the 3rd string? Like, he's not even getting a sniff at starting.
Yeah, no, and I get it. I think a lot of it has to do with practices. It's tough to get him real field experience.
Yeah.
And see, how he actually acts under pressure in the games. And when you do, he's pulling stuff like he did in preseason, right? Throwing 5 interceptions. And that is what people focus on is, hey, Trey Lance threw 5 interceptions today. No way he can start in the NFL, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But people overlook the rest of the stat line, Youngs. It's crazy to me.
Yeah.
You want to hear that stat line? I bet no one in the league even knows his full stat line in that game.
The one thing I will say before that, I think that is one of the best messages that has ever gone on in the Maidenless group chat, where you said, outside of the 5 interceptions, he had a really good game. And I think I replied to that. I was like, that sentence is absolutely crazy.
It is a crazy sentence, I will say. But
what was the stat line?
I had reason for it, and oddly enough, I have the stat line right in front of me, so I'll read it off to you guys. And honestly, this even surprised me. I don't remember it being this high. I just Googled it right before now.
Yeah.
So I might have to be fact checking this because this just doesn't even seem realistic to me. So the website I got this off of says he threw for 600 yards.
Is this the preseason game?
No. I'm sorry. This is I got the wrong stat line.
Okay, I was gonna say I do not know where he got that.
I copy and pasted. So yeah, that's my
classic. Classic.
Let's see. I should have prepared more.
No worries. I'm trying to find it too. Because was that this year he played that preseason game? And he threw the 5. Honestly, I wonder if I can find that text.
Yeah, that was the
research. I'm gonna see if I can find that text.
Yeah, and the 660 yards that might have been for the full preseason. That's what I believe happened just now.
Oh, here we go. I got it up right here. I actually pulled up the group message. Okay. So right. I got to give a little bit of context here. We're sending in links. Let's see.
Uh-oh.
Jacob Kramer goes, he threw the ball to the other team 5 times in a game.
That's true.
And then in true Nessa fashion, you go, and a cool 90 rushing yards and a TD. I do believe there's potential, fucking haters.
Thank you. There might be 90 rushing. It's not too bad,
Yeah, Kramer responds, he'll be filing my taxes for me by the end of the year.
Kramer.
And then you said, he'll kick your ass if he ever sees this combo.
That's true. I guarantee Trey Lance against Kramer right now, Trey Lance would knock that dude out in probably 20 seconds.
So back to the stat line. So Trey Lance versus the Chargers, 67.3% completion percentage, 323 passing yards, 90 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns, and I mean, if you throw it in there, 5 interceptions.
Yeah.
So aside from the 5 interceptions, he played a great game. I count this as a win for Team Trey. So
I do. I think any publicity is good publicity. Maybe. But aside from the five interceptions, he played a great game. And that's what I want to see from him. He's a developing young quarterback in the league. Not a lot of experience, but I think as he gets experience under his belt, keeps practicing, showing up to work, he'll prosper. And I think there's no better time for that to happen than right now. I think Cooper Rush is going to go out this Sunday, and I think he's going to throw 5 interceptions himself.
Yeah.
I think they're going to say, hey, if we're throwing 5 interceptions, we might as well get 100 rushing yards while we're at it.
If Cooper Rush threw 5 interceptions, would you say that's a good game?
If he got 100 rushing yards and over 340 passing yards, I would say, as a person who hasn't played a full game in how many years, coming in, taking over the offense, I would say, that's not a good game, but it has potential. I'd say it shows he has potential.
It's the building blocks.
And I would say put Trey Lance in instead of him because he threw 5 interceptions. You know,
Yeah.
give me a break.
Yeah, we definitely mentioned that there were a lot of. Is there any? I want to give you a second. Is there anything else you would love to share about Trey Lance before?
Yeah,
I
actually,
switch gears. I figured you got a laundry list of things to talk about.
That I just want to touch on, and it's Trey Lance replacement, Brock Purdy.
Oh, please take the floor.
I'll start off. I'll give the guy credit. You know, he ran a good team. You know, he had a lot of good weapons behind him, and I dare I say he probably would have had a better season than Trey Lance had Trey Lance started that season. Do I think he's a better potential QB than Trey Lance? No. I think put him up head to head in 3 to 5 years, give him 2 years of both starting. I think Trey Lance needs. But that's just me. To give you guys a stat, I mentioned Trey Lance games 2015, 19, 10, 10 points per game.
Yep.
Fantasy wise. Brock Purdy has yet to throw a game for over 20 fantasy points this season.
Is that true?
It's true. I did my research. I keep my receipts, guys.
Yeah, you always do.
I don't know why the maidenless group doesn't know this yet, but I keep my receipts. I'm right more often than I'm wrong.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is, without the weapons behind him, Brock Purdy is just a system QB. You know, he peaked when he went to the Super Bowl with Christian McCaffrey, Debo, Kittle. You know, who else? I'm missing a whole bunch. Defensive.
The Avengers, some may say.
And they still couldn't beat the goddamn Chiefs, who I hate. Oh, and so I don't know. I don't like him for taking Trey Lance's spot. Not that it was his fault. And I don't like him for losing to Patrick Mahomes with the offense he had. It was.
I need to hear that again. So you said Brock Purdy hasn't scored over 20 in this year. He hasn't scored over 20 fantasy points.
I believe so. Yes, unless I'm being fact checked. But I pulled up my sleep wrap right before this, and
I would like to ask you if maybe you want to look again because he hasn't done it once, or twice, or 3 times, but he has done it 4 times this year. So, I mean, I think the people from Iowa State might be kind of giving you the L dance right here, but
yeah, they might be. What was I looking at? Damn,
you're probably looking at meth streams, jerkmate, fantasy stats. So,
damn it. There's so much fake media out there these days.
I mean, you don't know what to believe. For all we know, they could have photoshopped this.
I retract and you can keep this in the podcast. I retract my statement. From the last 3 minutes. Brock Purdy's playing a fine year this year. He ended up being a decent QB. I still think put him on any other team, he'd be under average, more of a Derek Carr type player. Stat-wise. But he's decent. Yeah. I think Trey Lance could be doing the same thing though right now.
Yeah, it'd be fun to. We don't want to talk about Trey Lance for too much longer, but I mean, it'd be fun to
move on. But
it'd be so fun to see just like Trey Lance in a 49ers offense.
Right.
Obviously, Brock Purdy's been cooking. Like he's QB 10 on the year. I mean, he's making Culver coupon money, but so it'll be interesting to see how that works.
All I know, and last thing I'll say on it is, I think Kramer could kick Brock Purdy's ass. I don't think he could kick Trey Lance's ass. That's the last thing I'll say on it.
All right. I think that's a good pivot. I know we mentioned rookies' age and how it relates to Trey Lance and how Trey Lance is 24. Is Bo Nix 25 or is he still 24? Do you know off the top of your head?
I don't know off the top of my head, but I believe
he's okay. So I just looked. He's still 24. I mean, 24. And then another QB in this year's draft, 24, Michael Penix. So I think that kind of transitions nice to maybe covering on your rookie draft because you were pretty active in the rookie draft board. So I'm going to share my screen here to share the rookie draft because I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, you had, 4 picks in a row, courtesy of Shifty. So let's see. You able to see this here?
Those 3 picks with a spaced out pick in between.
So let's see. You able to see the whole draft board right now?
Yep.
Okay, yeah. So it looks like you had pick 112, 110, 112, 201, 202, a break, and then another one later in the round. So
you're missing Shifty's.
Oh yeah, of course. The most controversial pick. I'm actually happy you brought that one up too. Yep. So
very controversial.
before we kind of recap the picks, I think I want to touch a little bit on the trade that happened with Shifty to get you all of these picks. Obviously,
it was a storm of trades that happened with me
yeah,
in a month span, and some people would say it was mismanaged. I don't know. I still don't know. I've tried to trace the paper trail of all the
yeah,
picks, and it's kind of a tough, daunting task because there was so many movement with that number one pick
yeah,
and all the other picks in between.
yeah. Because I mean, God, how many times did that first overall pick change hands? Because it was
Around.
I remember Simo had it. He got it, for Mahomes and change. Then so then Spencer had it. And then this is where I think I think we should touch on this for a little bit. I hate to bring it up, but I think this is where your team definitely changed.
Can I guess what you're going to say?
Please do.
Are you going to say it changed with the Amon-Ra and Jordan Love trade?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think I've always, asked maybe if you're not around, I'm like, what the hell was he thinking? So I think this is a good time to, maybe like, what was your thought process there? I mean, were you high on Caleb Williams? Like, I don't think you lived 4 doors down from Caleb. Like, what led you to do that? I think a lot of the times, like, the hype of the rookies kind of gets to all of us, like me included. Like, I'm at fault for it. I traded pretty much 3 of my best players for a bunch of rookie picks, and Marvin Harrison sucks because Kyler can't see over his O-line. I'll take a breather there. But like, what was your thought process? Did you approach Spencer? Did Spencer approach you? Spencer always has his salesman hat on, and he's always, in everyone's pockets kind of trying to figure out a deal.
We drew a good conclusion. I'll touch on this, Youngs, but we drew a good conclusion the other day. I can't remember who I was with. I think it was you and maybe Ben and Shifty or something with. We were over at Spencer's house, and we said, Spencer is kind of like the Littlefinger.
Yes.
If it relates to Game of Thrones, he's in everyone's ears, making stuff happen behind the scenes, telling someone this, someone that, and then it all comes crashing down. Guess who's benefiting? It's all Spencer Hine, baby.
Yep. He's always got an opinion.
He's been doing this for a long time. I got to give him credit. He knows what he's doing. He knows what he wants. And he might have got me. I still don't know, because honestly, if I didn't make that trade, I don't know what my draft picks would have looked like.
Right.
I think I would have missed out on Bo Nix, which was a big key piece, although I probably would have. Yeah, I would have missed out on Bo Nix because I wouldn't have been able to get Caleb Williams. I would have probably not drafted a QB, my first pick, I don't think, because I would have had Love. But I also want to bring up the point that as bad as that trade seems on paper, Bo Nix is doing better than Jordan Love and DeAndre Hopkins, who I believe I got him on a different trade based on that trade. I traded.
That was kind of like the second part of it.
So I do feel like I got a return on that. I am sad that I let those 2 players go. I don't really miss Jordan Love. I miss Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah. I think I definitely agree.
I think about I go to sleep. I think about what Justin Jefferson and Amon-Ra.
Yeah, that's a sick duo.
I don't know if you remember, but Jay Jets, he was hurt when Amon-Ra started, and then when Jay Jets came back, Amon-Ra was out for a few games. So I never really got to see the two-headed snake that they were.
And you had Hawkinson too, and then he tore his ACL too. So you never, unfortunately, were at 100% health.
Nope.
So let's see. I'm looking at it right here. So you ended up trading. So you traded Amon-Ra and Jordan Love, and then you got the 101, which obviously was Caleb Williams, and then the 201, which ended up becoming Bo Nix, which has honestly looked great right now, and then another NDSU product, Christian Watson too. So I mean, I think it's hard because like those guys are all at their peak, but like if Bo Nix continues to play okay, like if you didn't do the trade after the fact with Shifty, and I guess even before that with Ben, to go from like the 101 to the 102 to like later in the first round, your team would be looking a little rough. But I mean, I think I want to definitely touch on your trade with Shifty, because I think that was a big one too, where you definitely got a lot of pieces. And Shifty, like we've talked about it with him, where he just probably got a lot of excitement too, where he, was really excited, trades up, but he didn't really even know what he wanted to do. He kept texting us. He was like, dude, like, should I take May or Daniels? And now
There's
Daniels looks like that dude, and he's been kicking himself. But hey, I mean, May's coming into his own right now too. So I mean, I'd love to let you speak about it a little bit. Of like, did he approach you? Did you approach him? How did that trade evolve?
he definitely approached me on that
Okay.
trade. Because at that point, I don't necessarily think I was trying to get rid of Caleb Williams. I wasn't super high on him. I thought his attitude was a little weird going into the draft, saying, hey, I need this, need that. I thought he was kind of deep. And that's not even saying he paints his nails, whatever. I don't care about that. I'm talking about his attitude. Hey, I'm new to the league. I'll be my place. I'll work. I just didn't get that vibe from him. So
right.
When I traded for the pick, I was like, hell yeah, Caleb Williams. I'm all in next Patrick Mahomes, whatever. But probably 2 weeks of holding that pick, I said, I don't know if I really want this guy. Maybe I can turn it over for some extra draft picks. And I believe, if I'm correct, I don't have it up on my screen right now, but if I'm correct, I turned that first overall pick into the second and some change. Is that right?
Yep. Yeah. I'm looking at it right here. So I forget the trade is escaping me. So you did Amon-Ra and Jordan Love to get to the 101. Then Ben, I think Ben gave you an extra second on top of the first to get to the 101.
This is a good guy.
But then the big one here is from Shifty, where he gave you Adam Thielen, or actually, no, he gave you Aaron Rodgers, DeAndre Hopkins, Mostert, and 2 firsts. And then he, in return, got Thielen, a 2024 second, and the 102, which eventually turned out into Drake May, too. So
yeah. So honestly, looking at that draft, I'd do that again every day of the week. I don't know if I would do what I did to get there again, but if I had these pieces, I'd do it again. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins, knowing what we know now, he's the number one option on the Chiefs for at least the rest of the year, I think. Yeah. I also turned that into Xavier Worthy, which I think is future number one look on the Chiefs. And then Aaron Rodgers, who, he's a mid-level QB this year. He's a good.
Hey, he's been honestly like surprisingly serviceable. And
now that he has some weapons on his team, I think he's going to start putting up 20 points here and there per game. And then Raheem Mostert too, who had a killer season that year before. I knew that guy wouldn't really pan out. I was just kind of hopeful, thinking that maybe he'll be the red zone guy or whatever. But yeah, I mean, looking at that trade, I think I'd do it again. Adam Thielen, what's he doing these days? I don't know. So yeah, I think it was good for both of us, honestly. I don't know what Shifty changed into. I know, Drake May's starting. I think he's looking pretty good.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think I'd take Bo Nix over him just because Bo Nix gets so many rushing yards a game.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that transitions nicely to where you got all these picks where it feeds into your rookie draft. Where I think it makes a lot of sense to touch on this too, where I think your most controversial pick comes. Let's see if I can filter it this way. Your most controversial pick right here is Xavier Worthy too, where I was in your DMs talking about trying to make a move. I'm sure a lot of other people were trying to make a move to probably get Rome Odunze here, or maybe even Bowers. I guess, what did you see, or what made you decide on picking Xavier Worthy as opposed to Odunze, who a lot of people would probably rank better, coming into the draft?
It absolutely comes down. I thought about this a lot because I was originally going to pick Rome, but I thought about it harder. I could see clearly. And I was thinking, the Bears, do I really want any part of that goddamn Bears offense or defense or team in general? I'm so
That's
sorry.
honestly fair.
Sorry, Ben, but they have screwed up almost every QB that they've gotten in the last 20 years.
That's true.
I mean, they've gotten so many first-round, highly rated QBs that were supposed to be the next big thing, and they fumbled every single one of them without mistake. So that was another hesitation on Caleb Williams. But then, Rome, I'm like, okay, well, when was the last time the Bears had a great wide receiver?
Yeah.
When was that? I honestly don't know.
Brandon Marshall? I mean, he was lit for a little bit.
I guess I don't know.
Couldn't think of another one.
And so I'm just thinking, when was the last time the Chiefs had a great wide receiver?
Tyreek Hill, probably, right? Rashee Rice has been solid, but
Rashee Rice, I mean, they can make a lot of people look solid. They're even making 35-year-old DeAndre Hopkins look solid. But at the end of the day, the reason Tyreek Hill was so electric on that offense is because he's Tyreek Hill. Second, he's the fastest man alive. Whatever, he is able to outrun those guys, and Patrick Mahomes is just able to pass it down. So I think once Xavier Worthy, who is potentially, I think, faster than Tyreek Hill, is able to catch onto that offense and start being a number one option, he's gonna load up, man. I'm excited for it. I don't think it's gonna be this year. I think it's gonna be next year and going into the next year.
I mean, the best part too with Xavier Worthy is you're obviously in a rebuild. Xavier Worthy is only 21 years old right now. Like you have nothing but time. I'm on your side for that.
I love young boys, youngs.
Yeah, you love them real young, I guess. So we'll keep going down the draft board here. Let me reshare my screen. Where that was probably your. Did you know right away you were going to do Xavier, or was it just kind of like you had to think about it? Were there any potential trades you were going to accept?
I knew going in the draft. Obviously, I would have drafted. I knew I was going to draft a wide receiver with the number one pick, unless I would say McCarthy or Caleb Williams was available.
Sure.
I wouldn't have drafted anyone else.
Sure.
But looking at wide receivers, I knew it had to be Xavier Worthy just because the offense he's on, the lack of pieces that offense has for Patrick Mahomes, and he's the fastest man alive. So that was a selling point.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I absolutely love. I'll toot your horn for a little bit here. I love these 3 picks.
Yep, absolutely.
The Keon Coleman, Bo Nix, Jonathan Brooks. I think you probably picked. I'm looking at the rest of the board. Like none of these guys. Like
that, I would have picked over Franklin. That's my one. My one thing. Who would have known?
Yeah, but I think you honestly killed it. Like you're in a tough spot after that Amon-Ra Jordan Love trade, but I think a lot of these pieces have really helped. Build it out. I think Bo Nix has been an absolute surprise. QB on the year, putting up. I mean,
even again,
15
fact
plus.
check me if I'm wrong, but I believe Jordan Love finished around 8-5. I want to say.
Let's see.
So not much of a step back last year.
Yeah, and just getting all those picks on top of it too. So I mean, good stuff.
It's tough. If given the option again, I don't know if I'd do it again. I might though. Given all the picks I got, and given like, hey, I'm trying to rebuild, whatever. I might do it again. I might not. The only reason I wouldn't do it again is just because I want Amon-Ra so bad. And
have you?
Hit me up if you're ever looking to move Amon-Ra. You know who to fucking call, man. Me.
Have you been in Spencer's DMs at all? I mean, your first round pick is you got an Ashton Jeanty guy or Genty. Have you been trying to shop that around, or do you think it's best to kind of hold on to that at this moment?
I've been going back and forth, man. There's very few people. Actually, no, a lot of people could get the first round pick, I'd say. But with just the excitement of this next draft coming up, I just kind of want to. It's getting tougher and tougher to part. Each week I lose. Each week we get closer to the draft. It's getting tougher and tougher.
Yeah.
So I will say, if there's people that want that first round pick, you're probably not going to get it after the season ends.
Yeah. Oh, so you're saying if you want to get it, now's the time.
If you want to get it, you're going to have to get it, because when I get close to that draft, I don't have a second. I have 2/3 after that first. I'm going to want some rookies on my team.
Yeah.
And it's going to be tough to pry that away from me after the season unless you really put up some big bank.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect transition to just for we're approaching week 10 and we haven't covered the league landscape once.
Crazy.
So I think now is probably a good time where we'll just kind of take a lay of the land here. Obviously, I want to touch a little bit on your team. Obviously, you're in a unique position, winless, the only team that hasn't won. Obviously, not what you were expecting, but what do you see? Where you're obviously not competing, who do you think has the biggest chance to win it all? Who do you think is like we could go as far as who do you think is a fraud? I mean, I'll share my screen here and we can just like look at rankings and whatnot too. But let's see. Trying to think the best way to share it. Do I do sleeper? Let's honestly do it this way. I was thinking I was going to do my favorite Dynasty Daddy, but we'll look at it this way. So we have, the league standings right here. Ignore this weird layout. Maybe this will look better. But Simo going from 0 to hero. I mean, it's a really interesting dynamic going on right now.
I'm trying to be like Simo. I'm trying to go from that 0 to hero right there. That's my goal.
So let's see. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 teams tied. I mean, this league, it's
Very
anyone's game right now. 1, 2, 3, 4 teams tied for first, lowering a game back. And then this is a big week between Bortz and I, where we're kind of fighting for that last playoff spot. We play each other this week, funny enough, in 3 and 5 and 4 and 5. And then I think the biggest surprise for me this year is honestly Kramer's squad. I think he's gotten pretty unlucky. But we can dive into that. I want to give it to you first, Ness. Is there anything that's surprising you when you look at these standings? What are your thoughts when you're kind of on the outside looking in?
I'd say the first thing that surprises me is that 0-9 record. But that's, we're done talking about that. Second thing that surprised me is how competitive the top 4 teams are. It's kind of rare to find a league where there's not at least one team that is two or 3 games above everyone. So yeah, this league, it's healthy, right? Mm-hmm. It's anyone's league right now, which is why this question is so hard. I would say if I had to choose, if I had to put all my money on one person out of the 7-2 teams, I'm going to stick with them because it's going to be one of them. I'm thinking not Spencer, because currently Spencer, he's not even starting a QB at his
he's had some unlucky injuries.
Jordan Love's playing mediocre. He's got the wide receivers to do it, but I don't know. I think he's got a lot of potential. I think he's got to make a few moves to kind of build those spots up that he just doesn't quite have cemented. Because his wide receivers position, it's cemented. It's like, okay,
absolutely.
You're done. You got the wide receivers now. Now move on to the next position. Sometimes I question what he's doing. He's got some sort of plan. Again, he's Littlefinger, so he's thinking of something.
Mm-hmm.
Simo, I would like to see him win. Coming in the position I'm in, he was in last place last year. I think I made fun of him last year. Everyone was getting on his team. And now this year he's, a powerhouse. He's got Mahomes, Burrow. I mean, he's made a lot of good moves. The CeeDee Lamb trade, I was hesitant on that.
Yeah.
I think it paid off just based on the season he's having, and he's trying to win. So I could see him going pretty far, at least in the finals.
Yeah.
And then Cammy Blunt with Christian McCaffrey back.
Yeah.
Might be a problem. And funny enough, I play him this week. Of course, Christian McCaffrey's back. The best player in our generation's back the week I play.
So you're saying there's a chance?
Yeah, there's a chance he wins. Yeah.
Yeah. So all right, after kind of recapping these, if you had, I mean, we can even go past the 7-2 teams. If you had to guess, I mean, feel free to take a shot at some of these 4 and 5 squads. Mm-hmm. If you think someone's gonna maybe make a run here, but if you had to guess right now, you're putting a futures bet down. Who do you want? Who's got the best odds to win it all? Who's in the money, going to the ship? I think I have an answer right now. I'm eager to see what you say, and then we can kind of compare and contrast.
Right now, with a healthy 100% squad, no bye weeks, I really like Chuck Poppy's team.
Ooh, interesting.
And the reason I say it is because he's got so much depth in his team, and a majority of his starting roster, they're volume guys. Like above skills, whatever. You can have, Justin Jefferson, he might only catch 6 passes in one game. Nothing about it. These guys, I mean, a lot of them are powerhouses on their own team.
Yeah.
And he's got the depth to deal with too. I will say, there's been very few people that have been able to be in the Justin Jefferson talk, and with his roster, he's one of them. He could give up enough to potentially get Justin Jefferson and still, not be. And I've always said, if you want Justin Jefferson, you're gonna have to lose the trade.
Yeah,
he could lose a trade and still be set. So that's why I'm a big fan of his current roster.
Yeah, I know. I talked to Chuck Poppy on a pretty routine basis, and one of the things he's been battling too. I mean, he's had some unlucky injuries too, where like obviously Aiden O'Connell was a waiver guy, but like Brandon Ayuk has been pretty underwhelming this year. And then he goes and tears his ACL. He was supposed to be like a wide receiver 1-2 this year. And he's just like Jaden Reed's been kind of, hot and cold. But like the one thing I'll say about his squad is like a lot of people say that the RB market's dog shit. Like it's pretty weak, but like you look at his squad and like He's starting 5 running backs this week, like
Yeah.
JT, Kyron, Jonathan Cook, James Cook, Chubba Hubba, like
And then he's got Kenneth Walker,
Ken Walker on his bench, Jaden Reed on his bench. Like this dude is ready for a championship.
That's why the maidenless league's running back system's so effed up, because he's hoarding them all.
Yeah, he's got them. Hey, I mean,
they're the wealth, baby.
To be fair, he has been offered. I mean, if I stop sharing my screen and I go to the league chat, this dude is like literally putting people on the trade block like week in, week out. And I mean, we'll recap the trades here in a little bit, but like we had like a big like excitement, and now it's kind of hitting that lull of the season where I think
everyone's figuring out if they're trying to compete or tank.
Exactly. I think once we hit that trade deadline, we'll see things pick back up.
Yeah. But to answer your question, yeah, looking at the roster, it'd be Chuck Poppy's. That'd be my money.
I think Chuck's team is good. My only worry with him is he's almost like he's in a position where he has too many good players that like
right
on a given week, like picking between a Jaden Reed or Chubba Hubbard or like, Deontay Johnson or Mari Cooper, you have too many good guys to pick from. Whereas if I think about a squad that is like the most championship ready right now, I go with Cammy Blunt's. I mean, I think his team right now, maybe like if he sold some future assets to get like a Wan'Dale Robinson, I'd have to scroll down and see if he has anyone on the IR right now. But like
he's got Rashid Rice.
Yeah. Oh, good call. Yeah. Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry. There's so many statistics where if you have just this combo, you're chilling. RB1, Lamar Jackson, QB1. I mean, unless somehow that they in the championship game, the Ravens are on a bye and they're resting all their players or whatnot. But I mean, Devontae Adams, he gets Christian McCaffrey back halfway through the season. He's got Nick Chubb. I mean,
that's a crazy roster too.
Jordan Mason.
I mean, that might beat Chuck Poppy's with Christian McCaffrey back. I was looking at this a week ago.
Yeah.
And it wasn't when Christian McCaffrey was back. I think he had a few other players on bye weeks or something. But yeah, I mean, his roster, looking at it right now, I mean,
it's scary, man.
He's got
scary.
Number 1 and number 2. If Christian McCaffrey wasn't, he might be the number 1. I mean, number 1, number 2 running backs in the league for sure, without a doubt. If Christian McCaffrey wasn't hurt, Devontae Adams, who I think is going to be balling out for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
His only tough spot, I'd say, is tight end. Does he have a replacement for tight end? 8.
Hunter Henry.
I got Patty Fry sitting on my bench, just waiting for someone to pick him up.
Yeah, I mean, he does have Dallas Goedert, however you pronounce it. I mean, he's been hurt, but like this Linsanity game of like 27 points, and then this dude's always. I mean, he's full practice. We'll see if he plays, but that's where it's like tough because like you look at a squad like this, and it's like so like the starters are sick, they're nasty, but then like God forbid anything happens, like Derrick Henry, he like tweaks his ankle, right? Or like AJ Brown's been banged up. You look at a team like Chuck Poppy Wheels that we were talking about previously, like he's got dogs that are ready to plug and play now. Where it's like
we'll just throw him in, doesn't matter.
Like he's got 3 sick QBs, but then after that, it's like, yeesh, who are you gonna plug and play? Where it's like
that's true. If he didn't have injuries, and then he's got, I know it probably doesn't mean anything to anyone else, but a team like mine, Xavier, like he'd be starting.
Yeah,
as a starter in my book.
I totally agree.
So he's got people on taxi squad that I'd probably be throwing in my lineup, So
yeah,
this speaks to the differences in teams right now.
Yeah, it's pretty wild too to think about.
I've got a question before we hop into the trades or anything.
Yeah.
If you take a look at my schedule, if there is one, who do you think will be my first win?
Christ. Let's see. Let me pull up the matchups. All right, so here I'll pop the share screen back up. Oh boy. All right, so let's see. Who do you play this week?
This week I'm not winning.
Christ. I mean,
I might rest my guys. Get some rest on the bench.
I mean, all right. Let's be real. Unless there's a miracle, I don't know. Because when do playoffs start? Is it pretty soon? Like I know trade deadline's week 12, so. Oh boy, you're playing all the top dogs, man.
I had
These guys are playing for a bye week now at this point. So you got
I thought I was going to be
Simo.
shifty. I thought I was going to be shifty my first week, but I fumbled that pretty hard.
Oh boy.
Do you see a foreseeable win in my future, or am I going to go? Am I going to put up an Easter egg all year?
Let's see. I mean, hey, this looks pretty good. Kramer's projected 54 points.
Kramer, don't you effing dare change your lineup, man. All right.
Brees Hall's on by. Shakir's on by. Oh my goodness. Gesicki's on by. Derek Carr's on by.
Right. That's the week.
All right. I mean, he's got JSN back.
My only hope.
Joku. I think realistically, if I had to, of your next few weeks, I don't know. Simo's going to be a tough one. Cammy's going to be a tough one. Kramer, just because of his. I didn't even look at your lineup. Do you have any buys? Jettas will be good. Okay, Keon Coleman. Ooh. I mean, you got Bo Nix to plug and play.
I got Bo Nix. I'm fine.
So I think that's probably your best bet. Week 13.
It's hard that week.
Grudge match in week 13. Yeah, I don't know. Like,
you're
is this
my first win, man? I
think I'm gonna die. I think I'll kill myself.
You know, I hope for your sake that doesn't happen to you.
Yeah, I'm in a tough spot with my squad. I'd love to know what you think about, just because we're on the pod. I always ask about other squads. I never get to ask about mine, so I'm going to take a little selfish moment. If you want, skip ahead, fast forward.
No,
well, if you were, if you were in my position, would you? Because I've talked to Spencer so many times where he's like, dude, you have 3 firsts this year or this next year in 2025. Like, trade, get some dog. Like, you have a good team. Like, if I were, I was bitching, like, I lost to Simo. He dropped a 180 on my lips. Like, I've been up there for like points for, but like, I'm looking at my squad, like Dak's out. I'm playing fucking Cooper Rush this week, or like Noah Brown. I think it's kind of getting to the point where, as soon as I did that trade to send Bijan and all them away, I won't beat that drum anymore. I kind of knew it was going to be a 2-year rebuild. If you were me, would you just kind of accept what's going on? Because I think this week kind of sets the stage for the rest of my season, where both Bortz and I are going against each other, both 4 and 5 for that last 6th seed playoff spot. What would you do if you're in my situation?
How many games do we have left until playoffs? Do we know?
I think it was week 12, so we're in week 10.
10. Really?
It's probably between Bortz. I'd say Bortz, Kramer, and I are probably. I know Shifty wants to lose, Bean wants to lose, so it's going to probably be us, fighting for that last spot. Otherwise, it's the toilet bowl.
There's how many teams get into the playoffs again?
I want to say it's top 6 make it. And then the top 2 make a bye.
Oh yeah, okay. That
and then,
so Young's. I mean, if I were you, I definitely wouldn't be tanking or anything. I'd be going for the playoff spot. I was in your exact position last year, actually, and I kind of made a little run. I won my first playoff game, then I lost. I believe, if I'm right, unless I'm but and I wasn't necessarily. I don't think I was in a position to necessarily win any playoff games. But if I had even a window of hope for the playoffs, that's what I'm going for sure. You got it.
Yeah, I know. That's why I keep going back and forth, because it's like you play fantasy to win, right? Like, you don't, like, obviously rebuilding's fun, right. Like perpetual rebuild, get the sick rookies, but like at the end of the day, you're trying to get that, you're trying to get that Venmo. So it's like, I've definitely been, I've been hitting you up to see if Jefferson's on the block. I know kind of as we get closer to trade block, we'll probably revisit that. I've been in, a lot of, it's hard because a lot of these top teams are like, who have all of the good players, right? And that's who I'd be wanting to make a move with. Whereas I've been talking to Shifty, he's been actively selling DK. We haven't been able to come to a deal there. So it's like, I'm kind of in this limbo where it's like, do I try and give a first back to Logan or Bortz and like help them accept the tank, or do I, just accept the fact that like I'm just going to kind of be, where I'm at, see what happens. So I definitely agree. Like, I don't know what to do.
Coming from a 0-9 team,
yeah,
I'd be shooting for those playoffs very hard.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'd definitely make some moves in the offseason, because I think you're in a position to make some good moves.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it be go for the playoffs this season and get, maybe 1 or 2 more guys, try to trade your picks next season or something and go for the
Yeah.
championship or something like that. If you're making the playoffs, especially in this league where it's so competitive, I mean, there's no reason to say you're going to end up like Logan. You know,
Yeah.
he won the championship last year, and then that guy. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, those are certainly some decisions where,
and I don't think he's wrong for it. I think he'll end up having another great team. I think he already had a great team though, and he shipped it all away. But now he's definitely rebuilding. He's got all the picks, and he's got weapons. But I think I don't think you tear it down unless you absolutely tear it down like Logan.
Yeah.
You can't be in between. You don't want to be a 500 team. You'll be like Minnesota Vikings for the last.
Yeah, just in purgatory.
You gotta either go for it or tear it down.
Yeah, that's where I keep struggling too, because like even we look at Chuck's team, Spencer's team, Cammy's team, Loring's team, all these teams that are few losses. They just have so much more ammo than I have in a starting lineup. Like my two running backs right now are, Chase Brown's coming into his own. David Montgomery is like good for like a 12 points a week, but like Garrett Wilson's good. And like outside of like I just think it would be a mistake to trade, like unless, because like no one that's competing is going to try and trade away their players that are going to help them win. And if I'm selling my picks, it's trying to help them win. So I'm just riding this shit until the wheels fall off. I think, like I'm backed into a corner.
You're probably in the toughest position in the league because you're right on the edge. You might not make the playoffs.
Yeah.
You might make the playoffs. If you do, hell yeah. If you don't, then it's like, what was this all for? I should have just been reading it the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I honestly, I don't know if I'd trade my spot for your spot right now. It's a tough position to be in because it's like, at least I know I don't have a hope. I know. At least I'm not like sitting up at night thinking like, oh, how do I make these playoffs?
Yeah.
I'm just thinking.
I know. That's what I keep going back and forth, but we'll see. I think now, so last I looked, we recorded on September 4th. We said we were going to go weekly. Obviously, it's November now, so we haven't been going weekly, but a lot of trades have happened, and I think a lot of the league has changed because of it. I know you've made moves. We talked about Mixon previously, but I think now is a great time to just recap a lot of the teams that, they got to the position they're at too. So I think we covered the Neighbors one. That was a big one that happened in late August, but
crazy.
Classic tight end university. Ben's got 15 tight ends, and
it scares me. He might be building something. I don't know. I don't know what he's doing over there.
He's building a straw house with tight ends, and then there's some big bad wolf trying to blow it down. So
I don't know. Crazy.
It's hard because Ben's team. Oh Jesus, Ben's team is like he's gonna be automatically good with Herbert and Josh Allen, but like he's accepted that he wants to suck. So like this was early in the season, so you don't want to read too much into it of him trading away a potentially early second for Evan Ingram, who should be competitive for at least he's 29, I think. So in tight end years, that's basically 22. But really, is there anything else you'd want to touch on this one? Really, I think it's kind of just.
These are trades at the end of the day. It's like a bunch of noise, noise in the chat. I'd love to see trades go through, but I'll tell you what, those Heim brothers need to start pulling the trigger in some blockbuster trades. I don't know. I've been getting a lot of bullshit from those boys.
Speaking of bullshit,
I'd like to see some of their past trades too. I'm sure they have a few in here that we'll go over.
Oh yeah. Speaking of bullshit, this is early in the season. September 13th, where Logan lost, I think, 1 or 2 games, and he's like, "Fuck it," or hitting the anchor button, like we're tanking. But he had Kamara, he had Breece Hall and Kyren Williams, who I think are all like top 6 running backs too. Where
and
hit the panic button.
After seeing this, I have to take my comment back. Logan makes some pretty hefty trades.
Yeah. So this is when sleeper and maidenless are at its best. When one, you get that trade notification, you kind of get that, you get those blue balls, but then you get that full load later in the day where it's like, we got a team absolutely competing, sending 1 first, 2 first, 3 first to get Alvin Kamara and Michael Pittman. And
who do you trade that for again? Or Or no,
So
Simo. Yeah, that's
Simo
right.
did. Yep.
How would Simo have 3 firsts in the? I'm sorry, one's a 2026.
Yeah, one's a 2026, and then the other one was, if you look down here, because I remember I put it in the chat, I was like, where the hell did he get all these firsts?
Yeah,
Well,
I
when
don't
he
know where
traded
he got
away
all that.
Neighbors for Devonta Smith in a first too.
Oh, he really acted on that. That was kind of a quick
I mean,
turnaround.
literally, like, he had it for not even a month and then traded it away too.
He's
So
cooking. He was cooking.
this is definitely where I definitely am kicking myself because I'm, under 500, kind of on the bubble where I have Logan's first still. He sent me an offer that was, I think it was Kamara and Cooper for his first. He's like, I'm overpaying. Like, I want to tank. I want to, get my first. And then Cooper was on the Browns and his QB's a rapist. And I just like didn't want anything to do with Cooper at the time, but I loved the thought of Kamara. So,
Yeah.
I countered to him and I said, I knew it was an overpay. I was like, give me Kamara, give me Pittman, and I'll give you your first back and maybe some change. And then, we're going back and forth. I was thinking about maybe how could I tier up and get Brees? And then next thing I know, he leaves me on red and I get a trade notification. I was like, God damn, Simon one up me. But you can't fault him there. I mean, he got a good package, probably more than I would have ever paid. But
I think that's a good trade. Kamara, he's having an outstanding season. The dude is a monster this year. I think that's a good trade, and obviously Logan's trying to rebuild. Take 3 picks. That's your rebuild right there.
Yep.
Easy.
Yeah. I think too. This is when we were just messaging about in Sleeper recently, where I saw Simo had a couple roster guys go into his lineup, so he says, hey, give me some fab, otherwise I'm dropping these bros to the waivers, and then Zach Loring, Mr. Ball Knower himself, picks him up for I think it was like 30, 40 fab.
I must have missed that, man.
Yeah, but this is look great for.
Yeah,
K Dotton's coming into his own.
Just a common Loring win, crazy.
Yeah, they say he can't see, but he can see when a good deal is in front of him. So
he's been balling out lately. I mean, I know they're down a bunch of receivers, but dude's looking pretty good.
Yeah, this is some classic Spenny heat check memes.
Shenanigans, man.
Yeah, we're just gonna.
It's Spencer Jong-un. That's where it is.
We're scrolling past this junk. I mean, it just keeps going. My good God, for Samaje Perine.
He will stop at nothing to create false media, fake news. He'll try to confuse everyone. He's Littlefinger. He is.
Yeah.
This is just a tactic. He's trying to create noise. He's a snake in the rough, guys. Don't be.
I know there's a lot of times where Spencer gives me an opinion on a trade, but I know he's in talking to another guy with trades too. So keep that in the back of your mind when you're making negotiations.
Yeah. Oh, he'll shop around, man. He'll shop around a lot.
Let's see another good one coming here. Simo, keeping that competitive energy going, getting rid of Jerry Jeudy, getting rid of a first, and getting rid of T. Higgins. What do you think about this one? I have some thoughts, but I want to give it to you before I maybe sway you one way or another. I mean, when you have Deshaun before his ACL, he's okay. Let me look it up.
Yeah, I also have my sleep pull. I should do some research here. But
wide receiver 42 on the year.
Yeah.
Last 2 weeks, I mean, Jameis has been cooking with him. Now that Cooper's gone, he's got 13 points, almost 14 and a half the back last 2 weeks.
Side note, is Jameis better than Rapist? What's his name?
Yeah, Deshaun. I mean,
I
love it. I don't think there's ever been an injury where everyone can come together and kind of. Twitter was at its peak when Deshaun, was hopping in the ambulance and then had to hop. That's all I got there. But so I guess now with that context of Jeudy, I mean, Bort's team has been sneaky. I think he was trying to tank, but like his team has just been good enough to just like keep winning.
Must be nice. Must be nice. Yeah, I think that's a fair trade. I know T. Higgins, he's been doing decent this year. The first might be overpaying. I don't know.
Yeah.
Depends where. I mean, Simo's going to be probably number 1, number 2 this year.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're getting a great first round pick. So I'd say it's pretty even. I probably wouldn't do it myself, but
yeah,
I'm also 0-9. So
yeah, you need those first. I think it's definitely fair. My only thing is with T is like the talent is obviously there. He's sick, but the dude is just always dealing with some injury. And it's like, oh, he's in practice, hamstring. Oh, he's in practice, quad. And it's just like, he's so sick. And it's just like, now you see it here where he's trading away, a bench piece. Jerry Jeudy kind of could be here or there, but like a future asset with that first.
They're off the field injuries too. It's like you don't even see it.
You don't even see him.
What's this guy going through right now?
Yeah.
All of a sudden he's questionable, then he's out for a few weeks. It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, Simo, the trend keeps on continuing with just loading up on absolute nuke bombs. I mean, look at this. 17th, 2 just great trades happen where this is a big one. So I'd love to spend some time on this with CeeDee Lamb getting Simo with the Lamster, getting rid of Gibbs, JSN, and Will Levis. There's a lot to digest here, honestly.
I wonder what he thinks about this trade as of now.
Yeah, especially with how Gibbs is look. Gibbs is honestly in that top. I'd almost put him as my RB1 right now, like maybe right behind Bijan.
And it's not like Montgomery has that many years left. I mean, I think
Will Levis, dog shit.
Montgomery's going to start transitioning to more of a Raheem Mostert type role.
I hope you're wrong.
But I think Gibbs is definitely the future. Obviously, whatever his name is, I'm not going to try to pronounce Smith, whatever you call the name is.
Yeah, you're gonna have to put on some air horns.
He's balling out. Will Levis, whatever.
Yeah.
CeeDee Lamb. I mean, what's he? I can look it up. What's he?
I think he's honestly like surprised. He had that one garbage time week where he put up 40 points. So I want to say he's like
he's number 4. Yeah, that's pretty good.
So like, yeah, you're tearing up for that. So I mean, honestly, like, I'm a fan of this trade. I think this is like, if you're trying to get like a CeeDee Lamb type player, you have to pay for it, and like this is the definition of paying for it.
And honestly, like Simon's thinking big here because
in
the future, if everything goes correctly, CD will have Trey Lance thrown to him. Which I mean, at that point. I mean, it's his league to lose.
His league for the taking.
That would be unstoppable.
I honestly would love to see Trey Lance play over Cooper Rush, but
I would just love it for one game, and then I could shut up about it.
We'll hear about that one game for the next 6 years.
I won.
But I mean, this is where it was. This was probably the best week of our dynasty season thus far. Where
after the CD trade, it was electric. I mean, this whole week was just crazy.
Obviously, these are meme trades, but like this week is like work is slow. You got some buzzing going on. Like this is when a lot of those teams that were going to be good are making sure that they're going to be good too. So, Logan continues to sell the farm. Chuck Poppy continues to harvest the farm where he gets Amari Cooper, Christian Kirk, Kyron Williams, a 2026 second, getting rid of, my goodness, Dotson, Wicks, Downs, and 2 firsts. I mean, that's like that's a 5-course meal of a trade right there.
That's crazy. The stuff I'd do for a trade, a package like that. And I don't know. I don't even want to tell you. I mean, that's a pretty big package right there.
Yeah.
No Diddy.
No Diddy. That is a big package.
Nice package.
The oil.
Right. I mean, I don't know who won that trade. I would have to give it just based off the first impressions here. I'd have to give it to I think Logan, just based on what he's trying to do. He got 2 more first-round picks. We just saw the trade where he got 3 first-round picks.
Yep.
But that being said, I don't think Chuck Poppy's return was bad at all.
No, it's honestly pretty fair. Where, let's see, Kyron Williams right now in the year, RB6, 21st overall. Where if you're getting, I mean, the dude has scored a touch. Let's see, literally his game log this year. 1 touchdown, 1 touchdown, 2 touchdowns, 1 touchdown, 1 touchdown, 2 touchdowns. I mean, that's like the type of stuff that puts you over the edge. I mean, you look at Logan's championship team last year. It was Kyron Williams, it was Kamara, it was Breece Hall, and those those running backs absolutely carried him. So I mean, it's just Dotson is basically filler.
If Dotson was doing better or he's in a better situation, I'd be like, yep, Logan won that. But unfortunately, he's almost droppable right now.
Yeah.
Wicks, what is he? The wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 right now?
I mean, he's just in Christian Watson's shadow if you think about it.
He is. And actually, I don't know if you were being sarcastic about that, but when Christian Watson, and you guys can look this up, you guys can fact check me on this one. I don't have
He
the
has the
exact,
receipts.
I don't have the stats in front of me right now, but when Christian Watson is healthy, I'm talking not going to the game questionable, which he has a lot. But when he's healthy, he gets the most targets every game. So far, that's 100% hit this year, and you can bet on that. You can put your mortgage on that. That will win. But if he's healthy, you can expect him to get at least 8 targets.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty valid. I'm looking at his snap percentage here. I mean, when he's healthy, he's
Low.
playing.
Yeah, and when he's healthy, I think he's been healthy 2 full games this year.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. His snap percentage is
Yeah,
pretty weak.
I mean, you can
I know
even
he's
go
been
back to
banged up.
you can even go back to last year. He was hurt a lot of last year, but even when Aaron Rodgers was throwing to him, when that dude's healthy, I mean, he's as good as anyone. I'm high on him. He's just gotta stay healthy.
Yeah, I mean,
But
I don't think there's a loser to this trade now that I look at it.
who
I think
do
it's
you
pretty
think?
fair.
Yeah. I think it's pretty fair, just considering they're both their circumstances.
Yeah, I completely agree.
What they're going for. I think I think it's fair.
Here we go. I think this trade honestly completely changed the course of your future and Kramer's future for that matter, honestly, where I think I remember coming into the season, or not coming into the season, when I saw this trade break, I was like, Ness, what the fuck are you doing? Like, Derek Carr has been buzzing. Like, this was when the Saints were on their 2-game, like, 6 spree. I was like, Derek Carr is going to be like a top 10 dynasty QB.
MVP watch for him. Man.
Yeah, literally. But I mean, you get Stafford and Joe Mixon, who have easily been outproducing Derek Carr, who's putting Chris Olave in a nursing home at this point. I guess.
Yeah.
Did you approach? I'd love to hear how this came to be. Did you approach Kramer?
I think I did approach Kramer, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
We were in talks, I want to say, because I knew he was trying to get rid of Stafford because Stafford was being a bum.
Yeah.
He also had what's his name? Detroit guy, quarterback.
Jared Goff.
Jared Goff.
Yep.
And he's like, I just got to get rid of one of these guys, man. I hate my quarterbacks right now. And I was like, well, I've hated my quarterback for the last almost 2 years or 1 year, however long we've been doing this league. You saw Derek Carr, I drafted him. If you look back at the beginning of the podcast, and he was a bum ever since. I've been trying to trade him. He's always been bad. But this year, he just started showing up. He was getting 25, 30 points a game, just fucking balling out. And so I was like, okay, if I'm going to move this guy, which I didn't know if I wanted to at that point, if I'm going to move this guy, I got to do it now. Cause there's a decent chance that he goes back in his old ways. And so I think I approached him, if I remember correctly. I said, hey, give me one of your QBs. I'll give you a good replacement QB. Derek Carr's balling out. You might have a chance at winning it this year, whatever. In return, Mixon is who I really wanted because he was on my team. I was a big fan of him. I got tricked and turned around by Spencer, and he took Mixon from me, but I was able to poach him back with this trade, which I think this is my best trade in fantasy. I do think it was still a win-win. I haven't looked at Derek Carr's stats lately, but I know that 2025 second is going to be a good pick.
Yeah.
And I think he'll be able to get a dog with that pick. It's basically going to be a first-round pick for him. So I think it was a decent trade. I only do win-win trades. If someone offers me where I think I'm going to come out on top and they're come out bottom, I'm not going to take that. That's that. I got too much morals for that. We don't stand for that at TreyLanceLover69 Co. So I still think it's a win-win, but I do think as of now, it's looking better for me. In the future, you might look back and say, wow, look what Kramer did with this, amazing.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. I think right when you did this trade was right after, that second week, like I mentioned, where Derek Carr's game log, 21 points. This trade happens. And ever since then, he's had 8, 12, got hurt, and then has had 13 points. And you look at Mixon, obviously he's dealt with injuries too, but oh my goodness, on that Texans offense, he has been absolutely humming where started the season 26 points, gets hurt. So I think this is. Did you know he was hurt when you traded for him? I can't remember off the top of my head or not.
I knew he
Okay.
was hurt for another week or up to 2 weeks, I think it was. And I was like, all my other running backs are hurt. I might as well just start them all at once.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. And then,
I love Mixon so much.
yeah. Do you love him after you saw the video of him in that restaurant, or?
I don't know if I've seen the video. What do you do?
We'll leave that for our viewers to look up a different time.
I'll look it up. Let's just on my work computer.
Yeah. Typically, in typical NFL fashion, you do some things and then you don't get punished for it. But I mean, speaking of punishment, I mean, after he's came back from injury, 27 points, 26 points, 23 points, and 16 points. Amazing. I mean, that's just absolute insanity.
I think if he was starting all year, he'd be right up there with, Kamara or whoever the number one is. I can't remember.
Yeah, he's RB15 after missing 3 weeks, which is pretty insane.
Yeah, I think he'll end up in the top 10, and I think that team has so many weapons. The fact that he still gets that much attention is just so nice. I love it so much. That was my big hesitation with him.
Yeah.
And it turned out to not be a problem.
I guess the question I have for you too is when you think about, your window, you're 0-9 this year. Obviously, you'll have the draft next year and try and rebuild. But what do you think about a player like Matt Stafford or Joe Mixon, who are older in the sense of fantasy and just real life? Matt Stafford 36, Joe Mixon was 28 or 29? Let me see, 28. Do you see these guys fitting your window, or do you see yourself as a seller of these dudes as, maybe injuries happen or, week 12 approaches?
Very tough to say. In my mind, with the team I have and the research I've done, and again, I like to mention I'm not wrong a lot. I think I'm right. With the research I've done, I think I will have a similar year to Simo next year. Yeah. My guys, the rookie QB or the wide receiver 3s turn into the wide receiver 1s and 2s. They start getting more attention. They're going to be like the Tank Dells, the Nico Collins, those type of guys that come into a team that has no weapons, and all of a sudden they're the number one option. And so that's what I'm looking for. That's why I'm all my rookies. They're in pretty much that position. Pending any Chuba Hubbard talk, just bullshit that they just re-signed him today.
Yeah. Jonathan Brooks owners are in shambles after that.
No, I'm not in shambles. He'll win out the battle. But anyway, where was I? We were talking about
Stafford and Mixon.
What my deals with Stafford and Mixon, the old guys on my team. I've got plenty of old guys. I think Stafford, with the weapons he has, with Puka and Cup come back, I think he's got a few years left in him.
Yeah.
Maybe not great years. I think it's going to look more like Aaron Rodgers this year.
Yeah.
But I think he'll compete. He'll be a decent QB. I think with Mixon, he's a guy that has had good years, but he's almost trending upwards. It's almost like a Raheem Mostert minus the injury proneness, whatever. Yeah. He seems to be trending upwards. So I do have high hopes for him. I think he'll be with me at least 2 more years, I'm hoping. And I don't think I plan to trade him again. I've already put him through the ringer, trading him once, sent him to a shitty organization.
Yeah.
Then he got traded to another shitty organization. Now he's finally back with people that care about him.
Back where he belongs.
Yeah, exactly. So I think I'll keep him. He might be a guy that retires on my team.
So here's a hypothetical question, just while we're on the topic of, older running backs and rebuilders. Would you say someone offers you, I'd have to check at who has even picks, because I don't know if anyone has picks outside of, Bortz, Logan, or myself. Would you trade him for, just straight up like a 2025 late first? Because oftentimes we hear a team's competing. Mixon? Would you trade him for a late first to a competitor near the deadline?
Mixon?
Yeah.
A late first. No.
Yeah.
I trade him for a late first and maybe a decent player with potential.
Yeah.
But I just wouldn't let him go again. I already let him go, and I regretted it seriously. And so I just don't think I want to make that same mistake, especially if he's balling out like this. If he has a year, if he was having a year where he was playing like a potential running back 2, I'd definitely do that. I'd probably be trying to ship him off right now, but I think he's going to keep cooking at least until next year, maybe the year after that.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. He signed a 3-year, $27 million contract with the Texans. So he's there for at least the next 2 years.
They believe in him, and I think they're gonna keep using him. Why change it up? They already have enough problems with paying all their guys. They're not looking to onboard another superstar. I think he's a safe bet for at least 2 years.
Sure. Yeah, I like that. Moving down the list, talking about running backs, getting rid of some scrappy seconds. Chuck Poppy does to get Kyron Williams handcuffed, who I don't even know if he's touched the field hardly at all. So this is the exact type of deal you want to do if you're shifty. I mean, I'd rather have them be 2025 if he even had these seconds, just because I'm impatient. But I mean, he's getting good value for Corum. He probably took him in the third, so getting a second and third on top of it's pretty solid.
That's great. I got some great guys in my second round. I would definitely take that trade.
Yeah.
I don't think Corum's. I mean, I think he's good. I don't. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think he's going to be like a long-term option, is he? I mean, is he a high-rated guy?
I mean, he was pretty well respected coming out of Michigan, but it's like you deal with Sean McVay, like he has his guys that he loves, and he rides them into the fucking ground until like they're either hurt or until they're out of the league. So
and he's behind who's he behind on that offense?
Oh God, who's their other running back? So is it? Let me check. I'm checking the depth chart. Okay, so he is the RB2. Ronnie Rivers and a guy I've never heard of, Cody Schrader, who's getting healthy scratch. So, I mean, I guess to be fair, he is probably that next up in line. So, I mean, if you're sending a late, potentially, I mean, Chuck's team's going to be good for the next 2 years plus to get Kyron Williams handcuff. So be it.
Yeah. It's better than I thought. I thought he had some competition in front of him.
Oh boy,
he was and this right here.
This is a
that's a win-win. I mean, there's just that's the best example of a win-win I can ever put. We got Tyler Algier, who's been sitting on my bench. He's obviously the backup to the great Bijan, but he's getting more and more touches. And honestly, like coming from someone who barely knows ball. I would start Algier over Robinson at this point. I mean, the dude.
No, bro. No, come on. I won't let you say that.
I know. Hot take.
That is a hot one. That's like a brutally cold take after I literally tell you Bijan's game log.
Yeah, no. Obviously, Bijan is a top 3
He's
guy.
RB4 on the year, bro. Look at Bijan's points. 21, 23, 23, 25, 10, 11, 13, 16, 16.
I guess what I'm trying to say is I think Algier would be a top 10 guy, which is another hot take on a different team with no competition from him. That dude, if you look at his game logs, he's just always cooking, and he gets consistent touches too. I think he's really good, but I didn't need him. I couldn't have a guy put up 6-7 points a game on 5 touches, whatever. I had to get a tight end. Short-term tight end that would. Hey Emily,
what are you?
My fiance just went. Emily, you want to say hi?
Yeah, we actually have women in our lives. We're not just talking to a bunch of
my beautiful fiance.
Hello. Yeah, say hello to all of our 20+ viewers that'll probably be watching this. It'll be me and my family 6 times.
No, 20+ viewers and family 6 times.
No, maybe we have to go.
What are we talking about? Fantasy?
We're talking ball.
We've been talking ball for almost an hour and a half.
FB Hall?
Yeah.
Brees Hall, why do you love Brees Hall?
Because I thought he was a TikToker.
Oh, Bryce Hall.
Give me more wine.
Sure. Are you drinking wine today?
It's in the fridge.
I'll reload it.
Okay.
In honor of that.
Back to ball talk here. Okay.
No worries. We're reloading.
So anyway, I needed a tight end, right? I didn't have a tight end other than the Saints tight end. What's his name?
Taysom Hill?
No.
Oh, you had Jawan Johnson?
Yeah, Jawan Johnson.
Real ball hours.
one game a year he'll go out for 20 points. But
It's so
anyway,
true.
I needed someone else than Juwan Johnson be my starting tight end while Hawkinson was recovering, and so I picked Patty Fries, which the dude when I had him, I don't know how like you guys probably didn't see this, but when I had him, he was a top. I think he was 7 or 8 tight end in the league. He was putting up stats, 10 points a game ish.
Yeah.
And I was super happy with it. Okay.
Oh,
and this
here we go. We got the wart. That cat has bit me and pierced my skin.
Now and okay.
Okay, I'm out.
And now Emily's banned.
No distractions. Come on now.
No distraction. Close that door. But
Facts.
where was I?
Patty Fries.
He was balling out when he was on my team. He's not quite balling out like he was when I was starting him, but that's fine because now I got Hawkinson back. So I just think that was the most ideal win-win trade that I've maybe ever done.
Yeah.
Who did I trade with? Kramer, was it?
Bortz. Bortz has Bijan, so
also has Bijan. He wants his backup, even if it's
makes
just
perfect
a
sense.
security net. It makes perfect sense. I mean, there was no debating, no countering. It was just like
those are the best where it's just no bullshit, just
baby.
Yeah.
Of course,
just straight to business.
Easy. So yeah, love that.
This one. This one has. Yeah. I'm getting back. This is a big one that changed the course of the league too, where 50 has told me how much. I mean, he's a Bengals fan, loves Carson Palmer, loves the Bengals. Who day? He'll always chant in his room. He has Jamar Chase, similar to you, how you feel Jefferson took him over a lot of quarterbacks are on the board in the startup. I think he got a little excited of just like, I'm tanking, I need to reset.
Mm-hmm.
And my whole argument is if he's rebuilding, similar to you, you need to have a dog that you're rebuilding around. You have Jefferson, he had Chase, and now he doesn't have Chase. And he's going to be spending these 25, 26 picks to hopefully get a guy that
like
produces like Chase too. So if you're getting rid of Chase and getting 2 firsts, I want 2 firsts plus like another alpha guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think Trey Tucker is a beta or a sigma or anything down the werewolf chain. So I guess this is actually a really good question now that I think about it. If you were, obviously you have a top 3 wide receiver asset, would you trade Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson for 2 firsts and Trey Tucker?
I'm sorry. Got to correct you there, Youngs. Top 3?
Top 3, top 1.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The answer is no. I wouldn't trade him for 2 firsts and Trey Tucker, whoever the fuck that is. I mean, my God. Shifty, this is a whole different trade because Jamar Chase, regardless of what Jamar Chase thinks, he's not Justin Jefferson. Yeah, he's not that guy. He's good, but he's just not that guy. He's more of a. I'd even put Amon-Ra St. Brown above him, to be honest. In Shifty's case, it's tough. The 2 firsts look really nice. He's also getting his first round back.
That is a huge. I'm happy you brought that up. That's probably the biggest reason why he was willing to do this trade.
Right. If he is trying to tank, it gives him more control because he has that first. So I like that. I do wish the 2026 was a 2025.
Mm-hmm.
And that would seal the deal for me. This would be a big question mark for me if I'd Chase. If I'd Jay Jets, it would be an auto reject.
Yes.
But this would be a question mark if it was Chase that I was dealing with.
I think it's unique. I like hearing your perspective on it too, just because you have the one of one where Jamar Chase tries to be like Jefferson and make more money than him, but Jefferson's more handsome and more talented. So
way more handsome.
It's just God. It's like this is one of those ones where like I kick myself for like Shifty put him on the block multiple times. I thought he was just being Jack and just kind of like putting him there to just be dramatic and whatnot. But then he didn't say anything to any of us, and then you get that notification, and your jaw drops. Where
this is a show for sure.
I have a screenshot
Do you know if Jack regrets this trade or not?
Oh, he regrets it every single day. Because the worst part is, he's a Bengals fan, like I mentioned previously.
Mm.
And every single time you're watching Red Zone,
Oh, yeah.
we're going to go to Cincinnati. Burrow, Chase, touchdown. And Shifty just kind of like withers away in his chair. And it's just like.
I honestly can't imagine if I flicked on the Vikings game and watched Jets just rip up a defense and then be excited, but also remember, hey, I've been also getting points for this.
Yeah.
It'd be tough. That'd be a tough position to be in. Not that I'm saying he couldn't turn around into something better. It's just gonna.
I know.
It's gonna take some luck. Gonna take some skill. I don't know.
Yeah, but.
And of course, it's Spencer that's doing this.
Yep. Always benefiting it, but now when I try and get DK Metcalf from Shifty, he turns into the all-seeing Raven of just like ball knowledge, and because I got burned, I don't want to get burned again. I'm wearing my flak jacket. So
and guess who else you've heard that from is me with Amon-Ra. Like, I don't want to trade another top wide receiver because last time I did, I regret it.
And it's always going to Spennyheim, so
it is.
It's always got the little finger.
His wide receivers could take on just about anyone. I mean, oof.
Moving on down, we still got a lot to cover. We've been talking for an hour and a half, but I love it because we haven't talked in a while.
This is great.
Let's see. So this is another big trade too, where you have a team, Bortz, who is kind of throwing in the towel, but I mean he might sneak into the playoffs, and Cammy, who's obviously going to make the playoffs, getting AJ Brown, and then in return getting Ladd McConkey, who's looked great, a first and a second. I mean this is another one of those win-win trades that Will Nessa kind of dreams about at night, where.
I do like this one.
I mean, there's really no complaints I have where AJ Brown's a dog, Ladd McConkey is young and he looks great, and then getting a first to help pay for that, top dog premium and a second. I mean, it's a great trade, and it popped Cammy's trade cherry. So this was Cammy's first trade. So I need to.
That is the most startling thing about all these.
That was the biggest deal.
That was the biggest bombshell. Is Cammy Blunt's in the see Cammy Blunt's completely trade? Oh my god!
Yeah,
is it real?
Miracle. It's a goddamn miracle.
Did Kim Jong Spence go in and force a trade or something?
Literally.
So yeah, congratulations to Cammy Blunt on that first trade. That was a huge one too. And coming from a seasoned professional in win-win trades, that is a win-win trade. That's a textbook.
Yeah, we got to give you a little stamp, just the win-win stamp and a sound effect.
And that's the shit I like right there.
Yeah,
I love to see that.
That's great. Moving on down, would you give this one a win-win stamp? Breece Hall, Odunze, and BTJ, another one of those where, I mean, Breece Hall's young. He's getting of the top dynasty receivers out of this last class, Logan Heim, that is. This one's a tough one because Breece has been a little underwhelming this year, honestly.
Yeah, Breece has sucked this year. I've been in one of my other fantasy leagues. I took him first overall. Honestly, I took him first overall because this league, all the Iowa State boys were so high on him this year, and it really got to my head. I took him. I think it was 103 or something. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And I thought he was going to ball. I thought he was going to be at least top 3 guy. No, not at all. I'm losing that league as well. It's not a very good fantasy year for your boy. But yeah, I think there's a clear winner of this trade, and that is Logan Heim. Just because Breece Hall's performance here, it sucks. And it's the Iowa State guys. Anyone
of their Iowa State alum,
they're like a one-hit wonder. They got a good season, and then it all catches up to them. They're not actually that skilled. They didn't learn a lot in college. All that stuff. It's all a factor. Yeah, I think Breece Hall. I don't think he's a bust. I don't think he's a number one running back contention, at least in the next 1 to 2, 3 years. And another factor that plays into that is they weren't too worried about the passing.
Yeah.
Maybe now that they have more weapons, it'll open up Breece a little bit, but I don't know. Rome and Thomas. I mean, Thomas has been balling out this year. He's had multiple 20 to 25 point games.
Yeah.
He's looking really good.
Yeah, Brian Thomas Jr., wide receiver 11 on the year. And I think he's kind of left a few games early because he was banged up too, but
yeah, his snap count's not that high. He has one that's 50 and one that's 64 and one that's 66. So he hasn't been playing as much as the average, top wide receiver.
Yeah, and I think now, if you're in the position of Logan, this is the exact type of trade. You're rebuilding, this is the exact type of move you want to do where you're selling your goated assets, if you will, and you're getting like like two rookies that are very proven, and like Odunze, the Bears are a dumpster organization, but like he's starting to come into his own now too, and they're both 22 and 22 respectively. So like,
I would take that any day of the week. Logan definitely won this trade. Not that Brees doesn't have a future in front of him. I just think the other two guys are almost equal to Brees' ceiling.
Yep. Yeah, and I think this might be probably the biggest. I mean, we've covered a lot of like Hiroshima bombs, but like this is the Hiroshima nuke. Yeah, my goodness, because
I couldn't even wrap my head around this. And
you know, like I remember like this happened. I think they said they were in an Xbox party, and then it kind of happened pretty quickly too, where it's like, you know, this is when Kramer was, you know, his record was projected to be better than it is now. He's had an unfortunate draw here and there, but like two competing teams swapping some of their best players too. So I'm trying to even think about how I should piece this together, where I'll start, you know, Kramer gets rid of Tyreek, gets rid of Gibbs, gets rid of Flowers, and gets rid of a third. Jesus, to get rid of, I got to take a breath, to get Collins, Bateman, Reese, and a 20-25 seconds. So, I mean, Jesus, the same day Lorian got Brees, he traded him at 9 p.m.
That's crazy. I mean, these guys got some huge nuts, if you ask me. I mean, I could never make a trade like this.
Neither could I. I'm too soft.
I mean, this takes a lot of guts, a lot of, I mean, I can't even imagine the conversation they had before doing this trade. And quite honestly, I don't know if I know the winner. Jesus. Tyreek Hill hasn't had the greatest season, although he's been out of quarterback. He might bounce back the second half. Gibbs, you know my opinion, I think he's going to be great. Zay Flowers, he's been getting fed all year. In fact, my parlays commonly have Zay Flowers because he gets so many targets. His over catches 6 a game easy.
Yeah.
The easiest money ever.
Are you adjusting that line down, or are you just taking it? Is that just like what the line's set at?
No, I buy it down a few. I usually do a little 3-player prop, buy him down 2 or 3 points.
Free sauce. Getting rid of that free sauce. You're going to have to pay for that premium pick next time.
My bookie hates me, man. I'll tell you what. And actually, the same bookie, a little side note, he kicked me off the book last year because I had made too much money off him.
Wow.
And that, if you bet, you know, that is the biggest compliment you'll ever get from anyone. I wasn't mad. I was like, hell yeah, let's go. I beat the book. But now I'm back on and I'm losing. So,
I heard this story. I can't remember who told me this, but I think I heard a story once. You'll have to tell me if it's true or not, if this is just kind of in the Nessa lore. But there was a story once that, you know, I think you were probably fresh out of college, you know, you were just getting into your career. You probably didn't have a lot of disposable income where you're betting on the bookie a lot. And, you know, maybe your bets aren't going your way, but you need the bookies coming knocking. So what do? You sell your grandparents' artwork? Is that a true story?
When you say it out loud, it sounds a lot worse.
I mean, it's pretty goddamn funny.
It sounds pretty bad, you know, when you say it a lot. But yeah, it was. I was a broke college kid coming to college. Of course, like any college kid, cool college kid, I was betting. You know, I was throwing parlays out, just crazy parlays that would never hit. And I think I went down like $200 or $300. And I was like, fuck, how am I going to pay this?
Yeah, this is so much money.
Keep a roof under my head, man. This is crazy. Lucky for me, my grandparents, who had a house they lived in for years and years, they moved, and so they were downsizing big time. So they gave me all these like old ass art paintings. And actually, I'll show you this. I have one that I kept. Right.
You have a family heirloom still?
So this is my paintings, and this is my office right here. But
yeah,
isn't that kind of a nice painting?
That's honestly a vibe.
I got like probably 10 to 15 of those types of paintings. They're all worth probably $50 to $100. So I just started selling them. I mean, I made probably $150. I mean, not a lot of people would buy them. There was a few.
Oh my god!
I just sold on Facebook Marketplace, and I ended up painting the book with that money. So yeah. Long story short, yeah, I down the book. I paid him off for my grandma's paintings. Yep.
Oh my god, that's honestly like, I've told so many people that story, and it's honestly the funniest thing.
Really, it's hilarious. It's hysterical looking back at it. But yeah,
oh my god,
it's you know, if you don't have money, you probably shouldn't be betting.
Oh my god! Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. I gotta try and get back on track. Where were we?
I brought that one up, that's a great.
Yeah, I've been meaning to hear the full story because I've only heard it, through passing. But I don't even know how to come back to this trade because it's like an absolute. I still can't even wrap my head around this, and it's been a month and a half. Where
This is, would you say this is the largest trade asset wise in Maidenless history? Is that safe to say?
think so.
Bigger?
I think so. Honestly, like you can maybe argue the one that I had with Bortz, but like this one, you're trading picks. Like picks are always like projections, but like
Right.
this, you're getting proven talent for like proven talent.
Yeah.
Or Nico Collins before his injury, I think he was the number 1 ranked wide receiver. Tyreek Hill when he's cooking and Tua's cooking, he's a top 5 ranked receiver. Gibbs RB1, Zay Flowers coming to his own. But then you look at the other side, you're getting Brees in return. I think it's. Would you give this a win-win stamp? I don't know. I just don't want to. I think. I don't know. I can't decide.
With the way Brees is playing, I wouldn't. But with the way Hill's playing, it almost cancels each other out.
Right.
You thought those two were the top notch in both these trades, and they might still be. But as of right now, they're both playing pretty mediocre seasons compared to what they could be doing. I know Zay Flowers is balling out.
Man,
I don't know. Nico Collins, he's been out this year, but once he's back, I'm assuming he'll pick right back up. This is a pretty fair trade.
I can't pick a side, honestly.
If I had to pick a side right now, I think I'd pick Lauren's side, just so I get Gibbs. Yeah, I'd pick Lauren's side. That's the side I'm going with. I don't necessarily think he won, but if I had to choose a side, that's the side.
It's hard. I was almost going to say Kramer just because I'm such a big Nico Collins guy.
You could go Kramer too, yeah.
But like you said, Brees Hall's been just kind of mid this year.
I know.
We'll see. We'll see. We can start that one for a while.
This is one of them where, as I say, time will tell.
Yeah, I think that's fair. But I'm happy we touch on this because we have this big bomb, and I mean literally 15 minutes later, I think Spencer told me he was in someone's ear. He was in Kramer's ear. Keep that snowball rolling. Let's do a trade, and then trades a 2026 first and Romeo Doubs for Khalil Shakir, who's honestly been producing pretty well as of late. I mean, they don't really have much weapons, so he's wide receiver 20. I mean, last 3 games, 13.5, 19.5, 11 points. I remember I made a meme in the chat that Bean Squared really liked, where I was just like, oh, hell nah. Now we're just trading anything. The way it looks now, if Kramer's team is competitive in 2026, there you go.
A quick shout out to Ben. He knows if anyone knows memes, it's Ben.
It's so true. Very true.
But yeah, no, I think the biggest part of this trade is honestly the first round pick, in my opinion. And that's again coming from a guy who's 0-9. So of course, but both these guys, they don't move mountains for me. I know a lot of people are huge on Romeo Doubs or I don't think he moves the needle for me. I think he's a wide receiver 3.
Yeah, all he does is complain and then eventually get more targets than Wicks. So that's really annoying.
I don't know. I think Christian Watson's it's only a matter of time before he takes the spot.
Yeah. Let's see. Jesus. I mean, we're almost there. Almost there. Tajay Spears for Quentin Johnson a second. This is, I mean, Bort's team is competitive and he's got a lot of assets too. So, I mean, this is getting rid of QJ. I love making this joke because Spencer says he sucks and then he eventually gets him on his squad. So,
yeah. Well, he'll say anything,
Yeah.
Little tip to anyone out there in trade talks with Spencer. I love the guy, but take it with a grain of salt. Think a little harder. When you're talking to him.
He's really good at those sweet nothings. He's very convincing.
He's very convincing. Very convincing.
I think it's a good trade. He's got Tony Pollard. Bortz gets more depth, gets younger, and QJ's looked half decent. I mean,
I don't have any hard complaints. I'd probably take the second, but not that I wouldn't take the other one.
I've got a bone to pick with this stupid trade. This is a great trade for you, right? You're rebuilding, you get a pick, right? You shuffle the deck with Eckler. but I play against Simo. He drops one on me, and you look at Austin Eckler's game log. Guess what game is the best game of the year? The
Was
game
it his,
against yours truly.
yep.
And I think it's all because of you, because you knew Eckler's worth, you capitalized on his worth, and I got the brunt end of it. So
He's
thanks
been
a lot, Ness.
having a decent season. And looking back at this trade, the only reason I did is because I've been trying to move Eckler, and no one will fucking take him for anything. I'm like, the dude's not that bad. He's not even 30 yet, and he was the number one running back in the 2022 season. I don't know if you guys knew that or not, but he was. He's not that bad. I mean, he's put up more than 10 points almost every game except for one or two, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't think he's got a future in front of him. That's why I traded him. But as of this year, I don't think he's terrible.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great trade for you. I mean, he's honestly, now that I look at his game log, like from like a RB3 flex play, like he's getting you close to 10 points.
Right, he's more of a wide receiver. You got to look at it that way. He's more of a wide receiver.
Yeah.
If he scores a running touchdown, that's a bonus.
Sure. Jeez, Nessa getting right back in on the action. Getting rid of Mostert, getting Juju Nutsack Schuster and Garendo.
This actually, I have a bone to pick with Spencer about this.
All right.
I already had established that I wasn't going to do any more trades with Spencer after the Amon-Ra St. Brown trade. You notice we haven't had a single trade since then. He's been definitely trying. I mean, he's hit me up for a few trades. I might have hit him for a few trades, but I said at the end of the day, I'm like, I'm not doing business with this guy anymore. Kind of like how the U.S. doesn't do business with terrorists.
Yeah.
I'm done letting this guy terrorize my team, my roster here. But then he approaches me, I think he approached me about this, and he's like, hey, what do you want for Raheem, man? I'm thinking, Raheem, I would love to get him off my roster before next year when he's worthless.
Yeah.
And so it's like, hey, you might want a wide receiver, to fill in for some of your rookies or whatever. I have the number one wide receiver for the Chiefs, Juju.
Yeah.
And at the time, he was. He was like, this is before D-Hop got traded. This is right before, maybe hours before D-Hop got traded. I'd have to timestamp that. But I was like, okay, Raheem Mostert, 1 year guy for another 1 year guy.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's not big deal. And then I also get a potential rookie in the future. Juju has not played since I traded. He's been out every single game, and they already replaced him with another wide receiver one.
DeAndre Hopkins, yeah.
I don't know what Spencer knows, but I continue to get just bent over by Spencer's trades. I don't know if he's purposely doing it or if it's a mistake on his end. I don't know.
It's hilarious.
If you guys ever see a trade come through from me and Spencer, come beat me up or something. Fight.
Spencer continuing to just get on the trade. I mean, this one caused a little bit of an uproar. Loring loves his rookies. He gets Estime, who's some Notre Dame dog. I think, you look at Loring, you look at Spencer, they're both competing. You want a guy like Kareem Hunt right now.
Yeah.
Like he's the RB1. We don't know when. What's his name? Pacheco's going to come back.
He's not coming back this year.
Yeah, so give me the guy that's literally playing and getting me like 18 points a week. Like Kareem Hunt single-handedly won him last week.
The dude's going off. I mean, 18's a low week for him almost at this point.
Yeah, dude. I'm looking at his game log. 10, 18, 22, 13, 18.
They use him so much, too. I mean, he gets so many fucking attempts, more than anyone in the league.
Drives me nuts.
Which is crazy. And so that's what you want in fantasy at the end of the day.
Yeah, just volume. Volume's
king.
king.
Touchdown just about every single week that he's been back. I think Spencer crushed that trade.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's going to play next year, but yeah, I'd take him.
Yeah, give me Kareem right now if it helps me win a championship over Estime if he's, good for me in the future. I agree. And then last but not least, this week, I'm finally getting on in the action. I feel kind of bad doing this one for context. This was when Joe Flacco was named the starter and AR got benched. And then, I put him on the trade block and I go, I'm selling him for cheap. And then Logan sends me, 27 third and a 26 third. Next thing I know, I go to look at it. He adjusts the offer and it's just a 27 third. then the weekend passes by and I'm looking just, on my sleeper app, and then I see this trades here after watching the Vikings just absolutely fist pound him. I was like, I got Joe Flacco for no fab. I think I'll take a 27 third. And I think Logan forgot it was outstanding, but
Yeah, you definitely fleeced Logan on this one.
fucking pointless trade.
I'd be keeping your head in a swivel if I were you, Youngs.
Yeah, I know. He might hit me in the kneecaps, but
at least it's a low risk trade.
Yeah.
It was 2027. No one would remember this at that point.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Joe Flacco will be like in a retirement home at that point.
He will literally be, I think, 43 at that time in 2 years.
Spencer Heim on the chat.
No, Spencer did not show up.
No,
today.
if you're wondering where Spencer is, we're also wondering, because that's the busiest guy we've ever encountered. Country club. He's got insurance exams.
He's probably
Those times.
Where
That honestly kind of.
there was a lot of trades to go over, and electricity, quite frankly, from the Maidens League. I love that so much. That's awesome.
we've had to cover the waterfront because we've been through 10 weeks of no recording. I guess the question I always think about too is that Spencer asked me before the league started, or not the league started, but the season started. It was, do you think there's going to be more trades, this year compared to last year? And the question I guess I would ask you, Ness, is now that we're 10 weeks in, 2 weeks away from the trade deadline, do you think we're going to see some of those tankers sell assets and, we're going to see an uptick of activity in the chat? Or do you think a lot of the teams, have exercised a lot of their big trades earlier and they're going to kind of just ride it out?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I'd say it's tough to say. I think a lot of teams will be trying to get in on the action as far as drafting goes.
Yeah.
Because I think it's an exciting draft class, right? You've got some big names in there, whether it be the Colorado boys or Ashton Gente or however you say his name.
Yeah.
And you got a few other, kind of black sheep in there. I think it's a great draft class. QB wise, not as much potential as last year, which I think there isn't going to be as much drive as last year. I think last year was like, hey, I got to get in right now if I want a QB. There was
Caleb
marketplace. You got Caleb Williams. You got you got JJ McCarthy, who maybe would have went 2 or 3 if there wasn't all these other QBs. It was a great QB class. That being said, I think because of last year and because there was so much movement, I think we're going to see similar this year.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be a lot of contenders, and there's a lot of people in this league that are hoarding assets that are able to trade those assets and still keep the same starting roster, like Chuck Poppy, like Spencer, really any of the 1 or the 2 and 7 or 7 and 2 teams.
Yeah.
I think they have the sky's the limit for them. They can trade those guys away and still keep the assets that they're using. I think the lower end of things, it's tough to say because a guy like me,
against the wall.
I love more draft picks. However, there's a lot of guys in my team that I could. Some people wouldn't even take a third round pick for them. It's tough. It's a tough market right now.
It is. It's been pretty quiet right now. It's been pretty quiet.
It's been extremely quiet and extreme. All right,
I want to join.
Emily wants to say one last thing before she leaves for good.
I just want to join, and I thought, Willie, your Halloween costume was super cute.
Thank you.
And
for those that didn't know, I was Paul Bunyan, and my great girlfriend Erica was Babe the Blue Ox. So we put it together, I think, on Monday of Halloween weekend, and I
thought it was really cute. And I think we can turn this into a lifestyle podcast. I think that's what we have.
Yeah, chop it down at the end of the night.
Yeah, I brought it out with 2 hands.
What is this? Call her mother?
I'm kidding. We don't talk about sex on this podcast. I mean,
call her mommy.
Emily, you have to leave. We're talking like serious ball right now.
Okay. Anyways, I was expecting Spencer to be here.
We're on a
so tell him. Okay, I'm leaving for real. Willie, love you.
Yep. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Sorry.
This is.
You might not even make it. No, it's not live. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can make plenty of edits. We've been almost talking for 2 hours straight.
Anyway, I felt like I was on a talk trail there until Emily rudely interrupted.
We were talking about
the
trades and just
the
like
trades
the upcoming class, I think.
At the end of the year here. I think people like me There's a lot of people like me. I think it's gonna be hard for us to move those assets and get a return that's worth picking up a rookie.
Yeah.
At least in my position right now. I think right now I have to cross my fingers and hope the rookies I drafted last year end up accelerating next year and draft, whatever capital I have right now. I'm not necessarily looking to pick up draft picks unless something came across my table that was too good to resist.
Here's a question I've been kind of thinking about and eager to ask you the entire pod. You talk about having Justin Jefferson. I know you have him in both leagues we're in, and it absolutely fucking kills me. Have there been any trades where you're like maybe ready to part ways with him, or like I think of like a guy in your position where you're 0-9, maybe you sell Jefferson for like the King's ransom. Has that ever crossed your mind? Has there ever been anything that's close?
Of course.
Or
Of course it's crossed my mind. I mean, you look at a guy like me, I'm 0-9 with really not many close games. I'm
yeah, when you put it like that, yeah.
And not to say I don't think my team has a lot of potential, because I think they do. I just don't think they're there yet. So the two guys I have in my team that are there, that I'm like, okay, these guys are solid guys right now, are Justin Jefferson and Joe Mixon. Those guys can win championships right there.
Yeah.
However, unfortunately, I'm not there right now. So, of course, I've thought about shipping off J Jets for a huge package. Of course, as you probably know, and a lot of other league members know, that package is going to have to be pretty comprehensive. Yeah. It is a package that is going to have to make me essentially be a competitor.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the same thing if I had Jefferson.
I feel guilty saying that, but I don't, because it's Justin Jefferson. If we didn't live in Minnesota, it would probably be a different story. But the funny thing with this league is a lot of us, we're all from pretty much Minnesota, Iowa, whatever. You're paying that Justin Jefferson tax. Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got to pay it. You get to sit down, watch your home team destroy defenses, and there's only one person that's contributing to that, and that's Justin Jefferson, and that's because he's just shredding. Every time Justin Jefferson catches a ball, I get a shock of electricity through my body. And I just can't contain it. But it's the best part of my weekends, and so it would be really tough to part with him. Not saying that I wouldn't for the right package, but it would you would have to lose the trade. And I know I'm all about win-win trades.
That's the one exception.
Not this time, baby. This time, I would love to see you lose. You'll have to get roasted by the league to get Justin Jefferson for sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're literally almost on 2 hours on the nose. I don't really know. I don't have anything else to cover. I've been kind of.
Let's see if there's any other receipts I wanted to address real quick.
Yeah, any other like dog shit trades that have been sent? Like, what's the worst trade you've received? I'm gonna say right now. Put me in cuffs. I'm guilty. Like, I have sent some absolutely foul stuff.
I'm not guilty, Youngs.
Not to you, but to like other people. I've had some people scoff at me.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you one guy. Not that he even some of his offers are good, but it's Simo, man.
This helps me more than it helps you.
He's offering some good trades that maybe I should have taken in the past, but it's offset by some of the other trades he's offered me. I think a lot of those came from when he was in my position, where he was very desperate.
Yeah, desperate.
And I understand that now. Like before, like going into the season, maybe the first few weeks when he was still that mentality of, hey, I got to rebuild. I got to do something here. I got to make moves. He was sending a lot of those trades out to me, and I was like, this guy, man, what guy. He's got a lot better now that he's a competitor. He's top in the league. Now I'm probably the guy that's hitting him up for the shitty trades.
Yep.
And so he probably has a case against me. But yeah, shitty trades wise, it definitely used to be Simo, for sure.
Yeah,
without a doubt. But I get it now, so I can't talk too much shit.
I think as we kind of wrap up here, I know we've been talking on for too long, but I think as we have gotten into the first half of the season, looking at the second half, this is a fun website that I always reference as Dynasty Daddy too, where you look at the projected records for some of those guys that might be thinking, they're on the edge of making playoffs. They're going to be trying to play for those buys. But looking at it right now, I mean, we were referencing Cammy and Chuck Poppy before, but, a three-way tie. I mean, a 1, 2, 3, 4-way tie for 10-4. Spencer getting the lead, 99% chance to make playoffs. So, I mean, this is kind of setting the stage for the rest of the year here, where we're getting into playoffs too.
It's gonna be a good playoffs. I'm actually psyched, even though I obviously won't be part of it. I'm psyched to watch it because I don't know who's going to win.
Hey,
Honestly,
you're projected 2 wins at least.
wow, that's crazy. Actually, that's crazy.
But
if I can pull off 2 wins, I'll be super happy. I got a few more things to address, Youngs, before
yeah, please.
go here. One thing is my lock of the year. I have one lock of the year every year, and it's always an underdog. I always pick an underdog that I say these guys completely. Vegas knows something the public doesn't. All the public's money is on this team. Vegas is on the other team, and it just so happens that it matched up perfectly this year. And I'm talking complete stat. I look at stats. You know, I look at what the money's on, what Vegas is riding, what Vegas needs to win to not lose money. That's who I pick. This year, the most lopsided one just so happens to be KU versus ISU this weekend.
Ooh.
That's my KU +3 is my lock of the year. And I'm just so confident on it. I've got money with my coworker who went to Iowa State. I've got too many Iowa State people in my lives. I'm about to prove them all wrong. So that's my lock of the year. If you guys want to take it, you should. I'm sure you won't because you guys are all Iowa State apologists, and you guys will probably take Iowa State. So that's my lock of the year.
Dang. I'm trying to think of – God, I'm trying to think of like something fun that we could like wager within Maidenless. I'll have to think about it a little bit more.
I did try to float that, but it was kind of too many moving parts, I think. It was where everyone picked a lock and we made a big 10 team.
Yeah.
Or 12 player parlay. Yeah, it was too much moving parts. But
yeah, we'll have to we'll put this out to the YouTube channel and then Sleeper Chat if anyone even makes it this far in the video.
And then I just have one parting comment. Shifty, you know, I keep my receipts. Jack Schiffman, he came out of the pod before the season started, and he put his prediction on who's gonna be the worst team, and he happened to pick me. I had actually wrote that down in my notes. Say, hey, you remember this? Is it a receipt?
Yeah.
Turns out I was actually wrong. He was right. I am the worst team. So congratulations, Shifty. I'll admit defeat when I'm there. Yeah, I'm definitely the worst team. So congratulations.
Wow. I mean, goodness gracious. I mean, we've been talking for a while. This was well overdue. I appreciate you, Ness, joining the chat. And I'm looking forward to seeing how the season shakes up. Hopefully we see some more activity happen. We see some trades happen. Hopefully we don't see injuries, but I mean, there's going to be some potential beneficiaries of trades happening and whatnot too. So this is the best part. I mean,
I know one person cheering for those injuries.
Yeah, that's Shifty. That dude loves seeing fucking Isaiah Likely go down. He literally got out of his couch seat and just was fucking beating his chest as soon as Isaiah Likely got hurt.
I think that's the funniest story ever. That's awesome.
That's hilarious. Anything else you want to say, Will? I know I'm very happy we got to chat, so.
Nothing much. I think I pretty much addressed everything. I just want everyone to remember, there's still hope for Trey Lance. He's going to have a Jordan Love type career where he works in the league for 3 or 4 years, then it comes in and balls out. So just want everyone to remember that. And enjoy this time while it lasts, because next year you won't see my team be 0-9. It's just not going to happen. I will be a powerhouse next year, starting next year. And that is when that dynasty starts. Right now I'm just playing fantasy football. Next year I'll be playing dynasty. So
I like that. That's what this is all about. I appreciate you hopping on, Ness. Hopefully everyone's made it this far. And we'll see if we record another episode until 2025. With that,
man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yep. Take care, guys.
Yeah.